beautiful souls, we are in for such an amazing treat today. I am so excited to welcome Jen Gottlieb into the space. She is a powerhouse entrepreneur, international speaker, and host of the Jen Gottlieb Show, which is now officially #9 worldwide in entrepreneurship, which is so exciting. And she is also the best-selling author of Be Seen, co-founder of Super Connector Media, which is this award-winning training, events, and online education company. And you might know her as the woman that had the 5-year stint on the VH1 show and also was a Broadway actress. And she's, through all of this, been able to really cultivate this powerful way of supporting entrepreneurs in becoming the recognized expert in their field and actually creating brands that are profitable. So she is a sought after speaker. She has shared stages with some of the most incredible thought leaders in the space. Like we're talking Oprah, Gary Vaynerchuk, Marie Folio, like Snoop Dogg, right? Like, wow, I'm just so excited to have her in the space. She's been featured in Forbes, Business Insider. I mean, we could go on, but above all else, she has this deep, deep heart and soul in every single thing that she does. And I just can't wait for that to come forward today because while she has all of these incredible successes, she is just this incredible soul that desires to support people in deeply living out their passion and purpose. And so I cannot wait to dig in with you today, Jen. This is such an exciting honor to have you in the space and to just dig in and to really support people that want to build a profitable brand with something that they love to do.
I'm so honored and grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. And thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Like, I just can't wait to dig in. I know as people were hearing, this incredible introduction, I'm positive people were like, well, that sounds great. But like, how do I become the recognized expert in my field? So I'm curious for someone who has like this passion and this purpose, and they're wanting to deeply scale it, and they're wanting to just become like the person that people are like, ooh, when you need this, lean into this person. How does someone start to become that recognized expert in their field?
Hmm. There's so many different directions that I could go here because there's
I
not
know.
one way to do it. There's a
Yes.
zillion ways. You know that I
Yes.
always say this. There is not one way to do anything. There's not one way to build a brand. There's not one way to build a business. There's so many ways. So the first thing that I want everyone that's listening right now to ask yourself is, what's your superpower? What are you really good at? What is there something that you're really awesome at that maybe not a lot of other people find very easy? And if you don't know what that is, ask some people that you love that care about you, that are around you all the time. Hey, is there
Mhm.
anything like that I do that you think is, and it might be feeling like a little uncomfortable to ask somebody this, but if it's someone really close to you, just be like, hey, I was listening to this podcast. I'm supposed to ask this question. I'm trying to figure out the best way for me to exceed in my business and get out there and stand out. So I need to know this. Is there anything that I do that you see that maybe I don't see, that I do a little bit better than everybody else, or maybe it comes easier to me than it comes to other people, or something that you think is my superpower or my secret sauce? Because when
Mm.
we're self-aware enough to know, A, what we're really good at, B, what we really enjoy doing, C, what our strengths are, and D, like what our weaknesses are, we can actually figure out the best way to go about our strategy that's personalized for us. Because one thing that I know to be true, because I did it the wrong way for a long time, if you try to become the recognized expert or build a brand or build a business in a way that somebody else did it, if it worked for them, that's great. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you because we're all totally different and unique. So once you've asked yourself those questions and you've really gotten super self-aware, just to be really honest with yourself, hey, I hate doing this, but I love doing this. Think about all the modalities that you really enjoy, things that really fuel your soul. Like if you love going and being part of events, and that's something that really jazzes you up, and you love connecting with people, and you're really good at being in the room with people, then I would absolutely double down on getting yourself to as many events as possible. That would be one area in which you could start to build relationships and build connections. But if you're like, hey, I really, really like creating content online, I like having one-on-one conversations, that's better for me than going out and going to events. I've got a big family here, I can't travel that much. Then maybe you want to really tap into hosting a podcast and inviting lots of people on to be your guests and connecting with people that way and building a brand that way. When it comes down to it, I found that whatever way you want to do it, building connections and relationships is going to be the way that you get anywhere, because opportunities to be seen, opportunities to be out there, opportunities to build an audience, they always come from people. And the audience that you want to build is already out there following other people. So if you can build relationships with those people and get those people to put you on their platform, that's how you're going to start to build that credibility and authority. So relationships are key, but there's a zillion ways to go about going out there and building those relationships. Self-awareness and knowing the best way for you to go build those relationships is the thing that you need to figure out.
That's so powerful because I found myself in a very similar experience where I was like copying and pasting what business coaches were telling me to do. It was like, and the example I always give is it's like a coach that's, a night owl and they're like, do all your calls at 8 p.m. That's how you make 8 figures. And I'm like, great. And then I do it and I'm like, why do I not have the energy to build? Because I'm a morning person. And so it's this idea of like, follow what lights your soul up. Like it's lighting you up for a reason. So we're meant to actually follow that. And what I think is so powerful about what you were just saying was it gives us the vitality to build and to lean into our strengths, the things that light us up, that come easy. And that's magnetic, as you know, like when you're leaning into speaking on stage, like you are a magnet. People want to lean in because you're doing what you deeply love. And so you create these lean in moments when you're really following what lights you up. So that is such a powerful blueprint to say, don't follow anyone else's blueprint, follow your own. Start to really connect to what lights your soul up. So powerful. And I love that because it's not about copy paste. It's about like, what is my soul desiring to create? So that is a beautiful jumping off point. I absolutely love that. And for those that are wanting to build a community around this, let's say they figure out what really lights them up. And you were speaking into, connections, cross-pollinating audiences, things of that nature. But I'm curious, especially as someone who has built, across social platforms, you have almost 800,000 followers. And those are just the big platforms. I was doing some math. Like I'm like, Instagram plus this, plus that. I'm like, whoa. So it's so powerful to just connect to how did you build these incredible communities? Because people want to lean in. They're curious about what you're creating. How did you build that? What advice would you give to someone who's like, I've got my idea and now I'd love to build a community around it, potentially through social media? How did you do that, or what advice would you give them?
There's so much.
Yeah.
First of all, it didn't
All
happen.
these questions are so loaded. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's great. No, we'll go step by step here.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight. And I
Yeah.
think it's really, really easy to look at people online now because Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, social media has been around for a while now. So people have been on it since the beginning. So it's very easy to look at somebody who's been on a platform building a community for 10 years, 11 years,
Yeah.
12 years, and compare your first day or your first year,
Mhm.
or your first few months, or your first 5 years to their 12th year, even in podcasting, right? There are so many people out there that started their podcast right when podcasting became a thing. And of course, they've built a community because they've been consistent. What I found is that consistency and being in it for the long game and showing up every single day, no matter what, especially showing up when you don't think that people are watching or paying attention. That's key because it's very, very easy to show up when a lot of people are watching and you're getting all the accolades and you're getting all the flowers. That's easy. That's fun. The real magic happens when you consistently show up when you don't know if anybody's paying attention and you move through it anyway. And those 2 or 3 or 4 people that are your ride or dies in the beginning, you keep showing up for them and you pour into those people and you create community with those people. It doesn't matter if it's 5 people or 500,000 people or 5 million people. It's being consistent because they're all human beings. They all want to deeply connect with you. It's, imagine what I like to think about when I'm building community in any way, shape, or form. Like, let's just say, for instance, I've been doing this Instagram live that I do every morning for about 2 years now. I go live every day and put my makeup on in front of people every single day. And I've been doing it consistently, no matter what, Monday through Friday, every day, as long as I'm not traveling or something crazy is happening. And how I built that community was starting off doing it for no one. There was literally a lot of followers, but there was like 5 people that knew I was doing it and showing up. But I kept imagining that I was waking up in the morning and I was speaking in a room in front of 5 actual people. So if I was actually talking to 5 people in a room, I wouldn't just shut it off. I wouldn't zone out. I wouldn't not pour into those 5 people. I would be so present with those 5 people. I would want them to have the best experience because those 5 people showed up for me. There is no difference than those 5 people showing up for me than 500,000 or 5 million people showing up for me. They're all human beings watching, and I want to give them the best experience ever. Community is more about the connection that you have with the individual people than it is about numbers and vanity metrics. And there is a book out there called 1,000 True Fans. I'm not quite sure who wrote it, but the concept of 1,000 True Fans, I feel like If we can focus on deepening our relationships with our community members by truly connecting with them through our content, through DMs, through actually engaging with them when they comment on our posts and being consistent, showing up for them day in and day out, no matter what, even if you feel like nobody's paying attention, those people that are, if you can continue to build that relationship and show up for them consistently and keep going, even when you don't feel like it's working, that is who wins in the end. And when I say win, I mean creates that big community that you so desire, or not even big, because I would rather an engaged community than a big community. Because if I have a super engaged community of 500 people that show up every day for me, want to buy everything that I'm selling, want to support me with everything that I've got going on, I'd much rather that than a million people that don't really care and don't really show up and don't buy anything. So I think that what it really comes down to, and I've done every single way that there is to build community. So I will, number one, say consistency, no matter what, pouring into those individuals that are following you. So engaging with them, communicating with them. Don't post and ghost. Don't just post something and let people comment and then dip out. Being social with your people, allowing them to see you. Don't just delegate all of your engagement to someone else. People know when you're actually responding to them. I think that's really important. And then, of course, when it comes to building community, you want to be out there actually meeting people. You need to be out there like connecting with people, whether it's online. Yes, you want to create connections with people online. That's unbelievably important. But what I would do is I would start the connection online and immediately move it to real life, immediately move it to a Zoom call, immediately move it to oh, I'm going to be in your city next month. Let's do a meetup. One thing that Chris and I did to build our community early on, and we still do it every once in a while now, is whenever we would travel to a city, we would host a connection dinner. So anybody that we wanted to connect with in that city that we were in, whether we knew them or not, we would invite them to a dinner and we would buy dinner. You don't have to buy everyone dinner, but you can just host the party and have people come and buy their own dinner. But we decided we wanted to provide value. And every city we went to, we were connecting with people. We were building community. We were providing value. We were getting up and talking about our missions and letting everybody else stand up and talk about themselves and what they wanted to do. And we would take lots of photos and we would send them all those photos. And then those people would post those photos on social. And then their audience would follow us. And then it's just a snowball effect. So consistency, getting out there, meeting people, engaging with people, truly deeply connecting with people. And then really, really like important is just making other people feel seen and providing value. There's a lot of people on the internet that just want to take, me. The people that build the best community are the people that truly see people, that deliver what people want, and actually lead with value. And we talk about that so much in the mastermind, Christina, you know that. That's what it's all about. Everybody helping one another. Because if you help somebody else get everything that they want, essentially you'll get everything that you want in return as well, because like attracts like. And the law of reciprocity is so strong. And when you can provide help and value to somebody else, they immediately want to help you. They immediately want to showcase you in front of their audience, most likely, if you've provided enough value for them. And then you can keep creating that win-win relationship, that flywheel, and it just expands.
Yes. Ooh, that's so powerful. You think about like exactly as you were just saying, like whether there's two people in the room or there's 2,000 or 2 million, like they are souls that are there that are joining in on your mission. They're so curious about what you're sharing and you want to pour into them. And that makes them want to come back, right? To the next one and the next one. And so I absolutely love so much of what you said. And I'm curious too, knowing you've cultivated this really beautiful community of so many people are like, oh my gosh, I want to pour into you because you pour into them. How do you manage your time and how do you create boundaries around like potentially where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm getting 9,000 asks. Like, how do I, start to like really connect to like maybe my intuition with some of those asks or even like boundaries too. Like, how do you create boundaries as well when it comes to certain things in life, knowing that you only have so much time in the day?
Yeah, I'm hard. This is hard for me. Saying no is hard for
I
me.
feel you.
I have the FOMO. I say like I'm a people pleaser. I like to say yes. I like to make people feel good. And then I always have that scarcity mindset a little bit in the back of my mind where I'm like, oh, no, I should do it. I should say yes to everything because if I say no, then I'm not going to get another opportunity. I have that voice in the back of my mind that's there. But I've really, really, really actively been working on this because you can't say yes to everything.
Right.
For me, it's like it's getting as clear as I can. And I don't want the listener to sit here and think like, oh my God, I have to be crystal clear on everything that I want. Because I don't know if I'm ever really crystal clear on everything that I want. I'm just really clear on where I'm going right now. I'm really clear on what my focus is and what season I'm in. So I like to live my life in seasons. So let's go back to when I was launching my book, right? That was a totally different season than what I'm in right now. I was launching a book. I was like, all right, the season that I'm in is saying yes to everything that would put me in front of an audience so that people will get the book in their hands. So
Yeah.
during that season, I was like, I'm in the Super Bowl right now. I'm going to strap on my big girl pants and I'm going to sprint. It was a
Yeah.
mindset shift. It wasn't a boundary. It wasn't a boundary. It was like, bring them on. Small podcast,
Mhm.
big podcast, YouTube.
Mhm.
I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm shifting my energy. I'm grounding myself in this way. I'm saying every day that I wake up, I'm in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. We're in the game.
Mm.
We're going to
Yeah.
push. We're going to sprint. That's the season. We will not be in the season forever. Don't worry, but we're here now. So I said yes to everything. And that was the season. Now we're in a totally different season. And I knew when I shifted out of that season that I'd pull back and I would be really clear on what season I'm in this moment. This
Mm.
moment, I'm in a completely different season, whereas I'm saying no to most things. And I'm saying yes only to things that are in alignment with the season that I'm in and the things that I'm building right now. And so I ask myself every time I get an ask, every time I get an opportunity, is this a no or a not right now? Right? Because every single no could actually just turn into a not right now. And opportunities can turn into different things. So I really like the word maybe. I really like the word and I really like to say not right now. And because
Mhm.
right now I'm in a season that's pointing me in a different direction. And that's where my focus is. And it's just all about priorities. Okay, I'm focused in a different direction. I'm in a different season. So I have to say not right now to this, but it's not never. And so I'll put it back in my maybe bucket, in my and bucket, right? I can do this and this, but maybe this comes in a different season. So when I circle back to book number 2, all of those not right now podcasts or not right now stages or not right now events or not right now opportunities, I can circle back. So I leave them there. I say, listen, this is not the season that I'm in right now, but I bet that next year or in a few months, I absolutely will be. And I will circle back when it's time.
I love that so much. The idea of looking at it as a season, that really resonates with me too, because I do have different seasons in my business where I'm like, go, go, connect, let's go. And then there's others where I'm like in deep creation and I'm like, I can't have 90, calendar things on my calendar. I need spaciousness to deeply create. So I love the idea of honoring your season. That's really, really powerful. And the other thing that I was hearing you say through all of this is that you're using your intuition too. Like you've got your season, but I feel like your intuition is guiding you into that season. And what I think is so powerful about you, like one of the things that I thought was just really empowering to even think about was, you had this incredible TED Talk that you just did. There was another podcast you mentioned that was like, it looked amazing on the books. It's got millions of downloads. You walked in the room and you were like, the energy is off though. Like, I think I need to like maybe leave the room. And then with the TED Talk, you were like, my coach is telling me to do this, but my intuition is telling me to lean in this way. What does intuition feel like to you? Like, I think for some people, they're like, how do I connect to my intuition? But sometimes it's more of like it's a body sensation or it's just a sense of knowing. I always love asking this question because it feels different for everyone. So I'm curious first, what does that intuitive hit or that intuition feel like? And I'd love to know also, how has that impacted your business?
It's so hard. I love that you brought
It
this.
is.
I feel like you are this, whoever's listening to this, you're listening to the right person. Because if I had an intuition question, I would go to Christina with it. Like I am not the expert on intuition. I actually get very confused between intuition, ego, and fear. I
Mhm.
do. Because they all kind of feel very similar, right? The resistance feels like intuition sometimes. And
Mhm.
when I say the resistance, it's like what I went through with that TED Talk. There were so many where I was planning for this TED Talk, and those of you who have no idea who the hell I am, I'm sure there's many people listening who don't know who I am. I speak a lot. I speak on lots of really big stages. I do big 1 hour, big keynotes. I do big events. I rarely do a 15-minute memorized, very highly like
Mhm.
I guess you could say focused
Yeah.
talk in that specific style. So that was something that I didn't think was going to be as challenging as it was. I'm so grateful
Mhm.
for the challenge. I'm more grateful that I battled the resistance and I got to the other side. But what I mean
Yes.
by resistance, and I actually talk about it in the TED Talk, I call it my inner BFF, which is my inner blocker of future fulfillment, which is
Mm.
that ego or that fear or that resistance that creeps in and tells me, you can't do this, you should quit. Or maybe you should go watch Netflix instead. Or maybe you really need to go for a walk right now instead of practice this. It's that thing that comes in and says, put it off, don't do it, you should quit. And it can feel very much like intuition. There were so many times where I was like, is this my intuition telling me I shouldn't do this TED Talk right now? Is this a mistake?
Mm.
Because it was like, this is really hard. You shouldn't do this. This isn't the time for you. Wait till you write the second book. Your content's not fully fleshed out. This isn't right. Like it was, and I'm like, is this fear? Or is this my intuition? I don't know.
Right,
So
right.
I have
Yeah,
no idea. And I'm being
yeah,
honest with you, Christina, because I
yeah.
wish I was an expert in this topic and I could tell you all how to listen to your intuition. But sometimes you just don't know. And so
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to make a decision. And
Mhm.
sometimes you're wrong on that decision. And sometimes you're right. And I feel like the more that you make a decision, the more you're able to recognize which is which. So in that art of making that decision, or in that act of making that decision, I said to that voice, F you, you are fear. I'm going to do this. I'm going
Yeah.
to do this. And I'm going to step through it. I'm going to do it anyway. And now that I got to the other side and I did it, I mean, we're not done yet. The video didn't come out yet. So we'll see. Maybe it was my intuition. Maybe I shouldn't.
No,
But
I guarantee it was amazing.
as of right now, I feel like I was right. So
Yeah.
I feel like whenever I feel something that feels like that voice, I'm going to remember. And the only reason I can learn that is by making the damn decision, is
So
by,
true.
right? So like, and sometimes I listen to my intuition and it's wrong, right? Like, and then I know, oh, wait a second, that was fear, that was intuition. You just got to make the decision. And listen, we're not going to win them all. Sometimes we're going to listen to fear and we're going to think it's our intuition and we're going to make a mistake, and it's okay,
Hmm.
because next time you just learned from that time. And I want to just mention what you brought up, because it's interesting that you remembered that, because I think I've
Hmm.
only told that story once about that podcast.
Hmm.
That was a really interesting intuition moment. And
Totally.
I did follow my intuition there, and I know how that felt. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good reminder for me around what my intuition feels like. I came
Hmm.
down to Fort Lauderdale. I didn't live here yet, specifically for a podcast, a very big podcast with millions and millions of downloads. And I got an email. They were asked me to be on it, and that was it. I didn't get much information. And I was like, great. Me and Chris flew down to Fort Lauderdale just to do this podcast.
Hmm.
And I walk into this studio and it was nothing like what I thought. It felt very weird. It felt very icky. All of a sudden, all of these characters start walking in. They're going to be on a panel with me that I didn't align with any of the values of the people that were walking into this room.
Hmm.
It started to feel very weird. And I sat there and I was like, what do I do? I'm here. I flew here. I told them I was going to do this. And now I'm going to be like having these conversations about topics that I don't really want to talk about, or they don't align with my brand.
Hmm.
And I had to make a decision. I didn't even know that leaving was an option, but all of a sudden I got this feeling, and it was from deep in my inside. I don't know. It was like, that knowing,
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
you have to get out of here. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Just leave. You
Hmm.
you have to leave. And I sat there for a second and I was like, really? Should I just do
Hmm.
this? I was like, but the knowing was so much stronger.
Yeah.
It was from so much deeper. And it almost felt like it was like urgency. It
Yeah.
felt like, no, you have to get out right now. And
Hmm.
it was like that. Okay. I went up to the guy. I was like, I'm having an emergency. I have to leave. And I
Hmm.
left, and I came back to the hotel, and Chris was like, how did it go? We were here for this big podcast. And I'm like, I walked out. I walked out. I said no to this thing because it didn't feel right. And he was
Hmm.
like, I'm proud of you.
Mm. God bless that man too.
Yeah.
Wow. And how powerful is that? Like just to really like to trust your sense of knowing. And it's such an empowering move because there's sometimes where things look great on paper, but in your body, you're like, that's a no for me. So to follow that, to really connect into your inner power and to say, like, look, it's not going to work. This isn't in alignment, to step away, that honestly, that opens you up to so much more that's in alignment. Because when we like the way that energetics work, it's like when we say yes to something that's out of alignment, the universe serves us more of that. They're like, that's what she wants. We're going to give her more. And then when you say no to something that you're like, nope, this is not in alignment, the universe is like, great, we're not going to send her more of that. So, like, that was a powerful declaration to your highest self, to the universe, that you were like, that's not for me, but this is like that opening. And now you've seen so much of what's transpired ever since. I mean, so powerful. So for anyone that's listening, that's experiencing that moment where they're like, it looks good on paper, but I'm just not sure that it's for me. Let this be like, if you're tuning in and you're listening to this right now, this message is for you to follow that intuitive hit.
Mm.
Give yourself that permission to just simply say no, because it is opening the door to something that's even more soul aligned. Would you say that that is what happened now that you took a step away? Would you say that that's
Oh,
what happened for you? Yeah.
for sure. But most importantly, what I learned from that is that I can do that. when you do
Yes.
the thing you're afraid to do, like you break the barrier and you do something you're so shocked by yourself that you did, holy crap, I listened to my intuition and I walked out of something.
Yeah.
Whoa. I
Yeah.
gave myself a little more like another notch on my confidence belt. Like
Totally.
I can say no to something that doesn't feel in alignment. And I know what it feels when my intuition screams at me.
Mm,
So let's take a look at both of those situations. One scenario was my intuition at that podcast place,
mhm,
and it like overcame me. And I was like, I have to get out of here. No,
mhm,
I'm out. And it was my
mhm,
intuition. And so I learned what my intuition felt like. And then I probably subconsciously knew that the TED Talk thing was fear because it didn't feel like the intuition that I felt in the podcast.
mm,
It felt different. It felt like the knowing, the part of
mhm.
me that was the knowing was like, you got to do this, Jen, you got to do this. But the fear was like, you can quit. You can quit. Maybe this
Right.
isn't right for you.
Mhm,
And it was a much different feeling. So
mm.
the biggest takeaway for me out of these two scenarios is I learned what each felt like. So now when I feel one in the future, I'll know, hopefully.
Exactly. Exactly. And I know some people even keep like an intuition journal where they're like, all right, here's what that felt like. Here was the situation. Here's what I did. And then you write how it panned out. But you can keep that in your mind too. Like, of just the like, I remember the sensation from before, and this felt like a full body no for me. So I'm going to step away versus like, oh, and that undercurrent of like, I know I'm supposed to be there, but there's a part of me that's like, are you sure? That's different, exactly as you were saying. So just having that as a guiding, force for you can be so empowering. And to your point, exactly as Jen was just saying, it's the idea of like, you have to just make the decision and see how it pans out. Sometimes it works. Sometimes we're like, okay, I learned something. Either way, we're learning from the experience. And so just give yourself permission to follow what feels right in your body and see how it pans out and learn something from that.
Yeah.
So, really powerful. And, I love asking this question to people who have experienced so much success in their business and in different areas of their life. Because I think, to your point, sometimes we can put those people on pedestals and we're like, oh, they've got it all figured out. And I'm comparing my chapter one to their like 97. Like, and then we start to be like, oh, they're not like, there's no way I could get there. But I love starting to really connect to the humanness of the journey and really connecting to some of the ways that we stumble in the human sense as we're getting to where we want to go. So I would love to know, what are some of the ways that you've kind of stumbled on this journey and what did that teach you? So some people call it like the quote unquote failures, but I'm like, man, every time I stumbled, I learned to do something totally different and it's just changed the game for me. So what are some of those ways where you're like, man, I face planted on that one, but like I definitely learned this from that.
Every day, all the time,
I know.
every day. Those of you that are curious to want to hear it on a daily basis, join my Instagram live every day. And I talk about how I mess up every day and learn every day. I'm in it with y'all, just learning every single day. And I'm nowhere in any capacity where I want to be, nor do I think I ever will be there, because I think my joy of life is evolving into the next chapter of who I'm becoming. And I never
Mhm.
want that to end. So,
Yeah.
what are some of my favorite failures, I guess is what you're asking.
I'd be
Okay,
like,
I'll
thanks,
give you,
Christina.
yeah, no. I'll give you one of my favorite stories. It's in my book. And I think that you'll really appreciate it, Christina, because you're in our
Yeah.
mastermind and you
Yeah.
experience some of the outcome of this wonderful failure.
Mhm.
So when I first, so Super Connector Media was actually started by my husband, Chris.
Mhm.
And when I met him, I had a totally different business. I was an entrepreneur, but it was my own business, completely different to what Chris was doing.
Mhm.
And we made the decision to come together and bring our different expertises to the table and build Super Connector Media into what it became today. We didn't know what it was going to become today at that point, but at that time, what it was Chris did these events called Unfair Advantage Live. And they were events that connected entrepreneurs to the media. They were like a very smaller scale of Build Your Brand Live, which is the event that
Mhm.
you'll see online if you look at any of our pages now. And I started hosting these events with him, and I had never hosted an event before. I'd never spoken really that much on a stage at
Mhm.
that point in time as myself, not an actress saying lines.
Right.
So Chris had brought me up onto the stage for these events, and I started, it was so, Christina, if you were at one of those events, you'd be like, who's that Jen? I stood like 5 feet behind him.
Right.
I was
So different from you today.
I was so exactly. Now I'm like, are you talking? Why are you talking? I'm supposed to
So
talk.
true.
Yeah, and I would stand like behind him, and like it
Yeah.
was really awkward, and I would not know what to say, and then I would say something like, "Oh, that was stupid. Why did I say that?" It was really bad, And I think it was the second event that we did together. He was finally selling something from stage. For a while, we weren't selling anything. It was just the tickets. It was the event. It was that. It was it. And he had a program that he was launching, and he's like, "Okay, Jen, you're going to do the pitch." And now I always do the pitch, but at that time, I had never sold anything in my life from a stage before, let
Yeah.
alone really sold that much at all, other than like personal training and coaching and things like that.
Right.
So I was like, how hard could it be to do a pitch from stage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I could do this. So I had this deck that I was just gonna like follow the deck. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
that this was a skill. Like people
Right. Right.
study pitching from
Yes.
like, I was totally naive. I was like, who cares? I'll just go do it. And I got on stage to do this. And I realized about 30 seconds in that I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And this was going downhill. And
Mm-hmm.
I wish you were there, Christina. It was so bad. It was so bad and so awkward. It was almost like when you're watching a comedian totally tank and
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the room feels bad for them. Like
Right. Right.
tripped over my
Yes.
heel. The slides weren't working. I couldn't read it right. I was
Mm-hmm.
saying everything wrong. I was just stumbling over my words. It was terrible. And I'm pitching this offer, and the whole event is based on if we make sales from this offer. So by the end, this is the killer part. There were all these bags on stage, like gift bags. And the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing was going to be like, okay, everyone that wants to sign up for the program, come on up and get your gift bag.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, everyone, come on up and get your gift bag. No one moved.
You're like, wait, I'm just surrounded by 90 gift bags. What's happening?
Crickets. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at Chris. He's bright red. I'm looking at
Right.
our team. Everyone's like this.
Yeah.
And
Just, yeah.
I'm like, tears. Like they're coming, they're coming,
Mhm.
they're coming. I'm like, oh my God, I ruined everything. Oh my God, what did I just do? Holy shit. And then like one girl from our team comes on stage and she's like, please sign up. Just please, please. And she starts begging. I'm like, this is bad. So I get off stage. I'm like, I ruined the whole show. My boyfriend's going to break up with me. This is horrible. I go into the backstage green room and I'm crying. And I'm like, I ask myself, I'm like, you have to decide what you're going to do right now. You
Yeah.
either leave and you quit this whole thing. This is not for you. You go home and you just hide and never come back ever again. Say, I'm so sorry I ruined everything. Or you find a way to fix this and shift your energy. You need to
Mm.
shift your energy because I could not go back on stage like this. I left the room for lunch and everyone was like this.
Like jaw dropped.
What is happening?
Yeah. We've
So
all had this similar moment. So
I'm
I,
sure in some way,
yeah.
shape, or form, whether you were
Yes.
pitching from stage or whatever. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I have no choice right now. And I didn't tell anyone I was going to do this. But for me, I'm a performer. And I know that the only way for me to shift my energy is like music and dancing.
Mm.
This event had no dancing. It wasn't like the events that you come to now. There was
Right.
barely any music. There was a guy in the back that played like walk-on songs, and that was it.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
go up to this guy and I'm like, okay, you know that Justin Timberlake song, Can't Stop the Feeling? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
got the feeling, that one inside
Mm-hmm.
my bones, that one.
Yes.
I want you to play this song when we come back from lunch really loud. And I want you to play the entire way through. And he looks
Yeah.
at me after seeing me and what I just did on stage. And he's like,
It's like,
okay.
are you sure? You're like, yes.
And I'm like, please just do it. I did not
Yeah.
tell Chris I was doing this. I didn't tell
Mhm.
anybody I was doing this. So we go back from lunch. I go, okay, hit the music.
Yeah.
Starts playing the song. And I'm like, okay, everybody get on your feet. And
Woo!
I get everybody up and I start dancing. And people are looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm just like, come on. And I get up
Yes.
and I start dancing, and the entire room eventually erupts. People are
Yes.
dancing on the tables, they're dancing on the chairs, they're dancing on the stage. I have pictures of this. There's women taking off their jackets and swinging them in the air. Everyone's going
Yes.
crazy dancing. It's a
Yes.
gigantic dance party eruption at this event. My husband, he's my boyfriend at the time, is like,
Uh-huh.
what is going on?
He's like,
Everyone's
what?
losing it.
Yeah.
Dance party. We
Yeah.
end. I had shifted my energy. I had shifted everybody's energy in the room. The
Mhm.
energy had completely changed. Everyone probably forgot about what I just did. I got to do a repitch that was way more empowered, way better. We ended up making over 7 figures at that event. It was totally fine. We fixed it. Everyone was happy. Everyone was having fun. But the best gift ever were two things from this story. Number
Mhm.
one, now we don't do an event without epic dance parties.
Yes.
The SCM
So
dance
true.
was born. We do it on
Mhm.
Zoom, we do it at our events, and it's a big part of our culture and who we are because
Mhm.
dancing creates unbelievable energy. And it was real Jen. It was who I really was. It was how I brought my secret sauce to that event. And number two, after that shit show of a pitch, I made sure that I was going to become the best salesperson from stage you'd ever met in your life. And I studied my
Mm,
butt off and I learned and I studied and I studied and I studied and I made sure that it was going to be incredible from there on out. And
mhm.
now I teach people how to do that because now
Yes.
I, from that failure, got really, really good. And now I know how to do that in a better way. But I would not have had any of those wonderful things happen if it wasn't for that moment of, oh my God, that was terrible.
Yeah, no, yes. We've all had those moments where we stumble and we're like, uh-oh, how am I pulling myself back out? So powerful though that you were like, you know what? I'm going to be more of me because I was trying to maybe fit that mold here, follow the slides, do it this way, or, wherever it was before. And then you were like, wait, let me bring myself into this space and let me actually study more on how to really, deepen into mastering sales. So I'm curious too, because for me, I feel like sales, whenever I think of you, it's so heart led, it's soul led. Like it's not even like, it doesn't feel like it's like following steps. It's like, and maybe it is behind the scenes, but your soul and your heart is in it. Like when you're just, you're sharing people an opportunity to transform. So I'm curious for someone who may be a little bit nervous around sales, like they're like, I know that I can do this. I want to go after that thing. I want to be able to build this business and not just do it as a side hustle. What advice would you give to someone who wants to learn how to master sales? And I'm sure it's like put in some of those reps, but is there anything else that comes to mind when you think about, selling from your soul, selling from your heart? What else comes to mind?
Yeah, the first question that you need to ask yourself is, do you believe in your offer?
So good.
Do you
So
believe
true.
in your offer? Listen, if you are afraid to sell your stuff, there's probably a tiny bit of you that doesn't believe in your offer. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason that I can say that is because of this analogy. And it really hit me when that movie Top Gun came out. I,
Mm-hmm.
I was on Facebook and, a lot of people ask me about sales and they're like, why
Mm-hmm.
am I so scared to sell? And this is one of the most popular questions that I get. Like, how do I sell and not feel icky and not feel yucky? And I'm on my Facebook and it's like everybody is selling this movie Top Gun, how great it was. You have to
Mm-hmm.
see Top Gun. It was amazing. It was the best movie I've ever seen. People are calling me, have you seen Top Gun? Texting me, have you seen Top Gun? I'm like, if people only sold their products the way they are selling Top Gun to me right now, they would
Yes.
all have successful businesses. It's because they believed that if I went and saw this movie, I would have an amazing experience. They believed it
Mm,
so much that they didn't care how many times they asked me to go see it. They wanted to post about it. They wanted to talk about it. They wanted to get everybody's buy-in for this movie because they knew that if someone experienced that, they would be thinking about them, thanking them because they believed in it. They believed it was a wonderful experience. So they had no problem selling that. So I don't sell my offer. I believe in what I have to offer, like my whatever I'm selling. I'm not selling it unless I believe in it. I
yeah.
believe in it so much. I know that it'll help people so much. Just like I know if you go to my favorite restaurant, you'll have an amazing experience. So I will text you a zillion times if you're in a city, say, did you go to
Mm,
this restaurant? It's so good. I'll get you a table. I'll get you a reservation. Did you go? I'll sell my stuff like that because I know that I'm inviting people into an opportunity to have an incredible experience. So I'm not selling anything. I'm inviting people into an opportunity that I fully believe in. If you fully believe in your offer and your stuff is good and you get results or you can help people or your product will be the answer to somebody's problem, you are just sharing that information with them so that they can solve their problem and get value. And you're inviting them into an opportunity to answer their problem. And so
mm,
that's why sales doesn't feel yucky to me. It feels exciting. It feels amazing. I get to show you something super cool that I'm super proud of that I know will help you. And the only thing that money is an exchange of energy. It's an
yeah.
exchange of energy. It's actually an exchange of love because you give me some of your
Mm,
energy, you give me some of your love, and then I give you some of mine back in exchange. And hopefully, the thing that I'm giving you in exchange for your money is going to solve your problem.
mm,
We're solving each other's problems. I need, in order for me to build more stuff, I need to gain more revenue. And in order for you to maybe, if you're a business owner, like in order for you to build more revenue, you need to learn stuff. So I'm exchanging my trainings, my coaching, what I've learned to you to fix your problem so
mhm,
you can go generate more revenue. And you're going to give me more revenue so I can do that in a bigger way and help more people. We're just helping each other.
mhm. Oh my gosh. The exchange of love, I got teary eyed when you were saying that because that is so true. When you so deeply believe and what you're bringing into humanity, it is like the ultimate service. You're like, I just want you to be able to taste this, like just try it. And then when they lean in and they get something so powerful from it, and it brings tears to both of your eyes, that you're like, you're living your dream right now. And I'm so grateful I got to be like that tiny part of it. It's so filled with love. And that's just who you are too at your core. People feel that when they're in your presence. And so I haven't ever heard it talked about that way. And that just resonated so deeply with my soul when you said that. So thank you for just even reflecting that into the space of sales. Like, it is one of the most loving things that we can do. We just want to share with people things that will deeply transform their lives. And it's such a disservice to hold it and keep it to ourselves, right? Like, we're meant to share the things that will deeply impact someone. So thank you so much for breathing that into the space. And I'm curious, where you're at now, if you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would you share with her? Maybe it's business advice, maybe it's life advice, whatever that is, or if a couple things come to mind, I'd love to even just know, as we're starting to kind of wrap up now, I'm curious, what would those pieces of advice be to your past version of yourself?
All right, we'll talk to teenage Jen because
Ooh, I love it.
she needed the most help.
Oh God, mine too.
She needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
I would tell her that none of the bullshit that you care about right now is going to matter.
Yeah.
None, none of it.
Yeah.
Nothing. All she cared about was being cool, being in with the cool kids, people accepting her, the cool boys liking her, the cool girls liking her. And I was even having a conversation with my dad the other day about how incredible it is, how much you can transform as a human, how we have transformations because I was saying something like, you don't need to worry about me. I'm going to be okay. He's like, I know I don't need to worry about you. It was like, I was scared when you were a teenager. I worried about you. I was like, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I was petrified for her. And he said to me, he was like, all you cared about was like being liked by people in school. And honestly, now that I look back, if I wouldn't change my teenage experience. I needed that experience. Clearly, I needed it. I'm talking about it now. It's helped made me the person that I am today. It helps me help other people today, and hopefully, maybe even help teenage girls today. However, quick little tangent. I don't even know how I would help teenage girls today with social media and Instagram because that's a totally different monster
Mm-hmm.
beast that I didn't have to deal with then, and I'm very grateful for that because
Mm-hmm.
who even knows where I'd be if I had to deal with that. But like man, I wish that I placed more importance on growing my inner self, educating myself, thinking about things, caring about like my family more, because all those people that I was trying to impress during that time, and I so desperately wanted to like me and I so desperately wanted approval from, I'm not really friends with those people anymore. I don't talk to those people anymore. It doesn't even matter. Like, and I spent so much time worried about it because I didn't feel enough. And I always just wanted to be seen and heard and be like, you are enough. I just didn't feel enough within myself. And I wish that I could go back to that girl and just hold her and hug her and just be like, you're enough. You're good enough. You're going to
Yeah.
get through this time. This time is hard. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot going on. There's a lot going on in your brain and your body and
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get through it. You're going to be okay. But make sure that as you get through it, just remember like you're enough and none of this bullshit that you're caring about right now that feels like the end of the world is going to matter at all in the real grand scheme of things.
Mm. That so deeply translates, I feel like, to every phase of life. Like, even now, I think about, as you were speaking that, like, even some of the things that I'm like, man, I'm worried about this, that, or the other. It was like I witnessed you speaking that to my teenage self and witness you speaking that to me right now, even after all the transformation I've done too, because I'm a totally different person from where I was then to where I'm at now. But even the little things or the big things that I find myself being like, oh, that's just keeping me up at night, it's like none of it matters. It's all going to make so much sense. It's all divine timing. It's all leading you. It's a stepping stone to your next greatest adventure. Let yourself be led, surrender, let yourself learn from this. Like, that piece of advice just feels like it resonates to every season, because when we're 80 or we're 90 and we're looking back, we're going to be like, man, that didn't matter either, and just really connecting into what actually deeply matters within our souls.
There's a fun activity to do if you journal, and I have a feeling there's a lot of
Yes.
people that listen to this podcast that journal.
Yes.
I like looking back my journals from like a couple months ago and
Mhm.
I'll read it and there will be journal entries that I was so worried about something and like going
Mhm.
on and on and on about how terrible this thing was or how anxious I was or I couldn't sleep or this was terrible. And I'm like, I don't even know what the thing is now. I'm like, I
Mhm.
cannot remember for the
Yes.
life of me what I was so worried about.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
help you put it into perspective
Yeah.
that, just all you can do is do your best. This life is full of highs and lows, and that is what makes it life. That is
Mm.
one thing that's 100% certain is that we are going to have to suffer in life sometimes. We're going to have to go through hard stuff, right? It satisfaction wouldn't be satisfaction if you didn't have to overcome something hard.
So
And
true.
it will be something that you remember one day, or maybe you won't even remember one day. And I have on my wrist, time never stops, tattooed on my wrist to
Mhm.
remind me that everything passes. This too shall pass. Every single moment of discomfort, every moment of panic and anxiety and fear, it is there for you and you can feel it and it can suck and it'll be painful. But I promise you, the day ends, you go to
Mm.
bed and you wake up and a new day comes, no matter what. You're in an uncomfortable situation, whether you're super bored or you're tired or you don't want to be there or you're annoyed or you're pissed off or you're in traffic, before
Mhm.
you know it, you're going to end up in your bed. So do you want to be an asshole during that moment and ruin a relationship with somebody? Do you want to have road rage and screw up your whole life by yelling? I always say this, like road rage is the dumbest thing in the entire world because it's a moment in
Mhm.
time when you're comfortable and you make a stupid decision that could totally impact you for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
Like, or do you want to sit with that, be in it, know that it's going to end, embrace the discomfort? What can I learn from this discomfort? Because before I know it, I'm going to be in my bed looking up at the ceiling thinking, either I did it, I showed up in a way today that made me proud, I overcame something hard, I sat in the discomfort, or you lay in your bed, you look up at the ceiling and be like, shit, I am not proud of the way that I showed up today. You get
Mhm.
an option. And if we can remember that in the moments of the uncomfortableness, wow, we can empower ourselves to feel more satisfied at the end of each day.
So true. So true. Is that your journaling exercise then? Is like at the end of the day, how did I do? How did I show up? Or what is that exercise you were talking about that has people reflect on, the last 2 months or the last year? Is there an exercise in particular or just journaling in general and reflecting, being like, ooh, I've come a long way in 12 minutes, you know?
Sometimes I'll just read like my old stuff just
Yeah,
for fun. I
I
think that
love it.
there's a lot in that. Now it's so crazy. So now at the end of the day, I actually really love this app in Apple. This is the silliest thing. I found this, and I just like to write down my wins each night. So I
Hmm.
celebrate my wins for the day. It could be the smallest thing, like I did my workout today. Yay, win.
Yeah.
Whatever win there is, I write it down. And sometimes my journal entries are I do it in this journaling app, and you can put your photos in for the day. So I'm taking
Mm,
a lot of
yeah.
photos for the day. So I like that because I can go look back. Oh wow, look at it. Oh, I
Mm,
remember I did that day. Some people like to write, but I find that this is fun. But I love to celebrate my wins because it reminds me that I can get way more done than I think in one day. It
so
also
true.
helps me to really ground myself and remember that all the things that I think were hard and challenging and difficult, they always end and I end up in my bed. And when I can write them down and be like, I did that today. I did
Mm,
it. It helps me for the next day. When I have something hard that I'm facing, I subconsciously think about the fact that I'm just going to write it down at night. So do I want to do it in a way that makes me proud when I write it down at night? Or do I want to like wimp out and take it
mm,
off my calendar and cancel it? And then I get to the nighttime in my bed and like, I could have done that. Why didn't I do that? So
mm.
sometimes I'm doing things just so I can write them down at night.
So true. I'm that person too. I'll have the to-do list and I'm like, I already did it, but I want to check it off. So I'm going to write it and then check it off, after I've already done the thing. Wow. Jen, thank you so much for all of your wisdom, for just your heart, for everything that you've poured into every single person that's listening. And to everyone that's listening, thank you so much for giving us your most precious resource, your time. So, Jen, I'm curious. I know that people are going to want to connect with you. So, where are you hanging out? Where can people find you?
The easiest place is Instagram. Go
Mhm.
there at
Okay.
Jen_Gottlieb. That's the easiest place to
Yes.
go.
Yeah, absolutely. That is where she has her get ready with me in the morning. And it's so much fun because you're getting so much of her just authentic self and also just so much advice. It's like you're like coloring in your eyebrow and you're like talking about something so philosophical. I'm like, whoa, like it's so fun. I'm like, wow, like there's just so much beauty in the space. So thank you so much, Jen, for being here. This was absolutely incredible. I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah, and I want to honor you for a second. So thank you for having me. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're in an unbelievable place. Like bravo to you that you followed, you subscribed. This woman knows what she's talking about and she holds space like no other. So thank you for being part of my world. Thank you for coming into my space. Thank you for having me on the show. And listener, you are making a really good decision right now. You're following a really special person with a big heart that truly cares.
Thank you so much, Jen. I receive, and to everyone tuning in, we're sending you so much light and love. And until next time.